All That's News.
Portions of our programming have been pre-recorded. The Good Neighbor Network. WGNS Murfreesboro. W270AF Murfreesboro. W263AI Murfreesboro, Smyrna.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. Anti-ICE protests are being held across the country today in Providence. And in downtown Minneapolis, thousands have been taking part in a rally and march, including this woman.
I'm just here to put it in the face of people who don't understand that people are being taken from the streets without due process.
In a case stemming from a recent Twin Cities protest, the Department of Homeland Security says former CNN anchor Don Lemon has been charged with federal civil rights crimes in an anti-ICE church protest. Lemon has said that he was there as a journalist chronicling protesters. New York lawyer Robin Nunn.
This case turns on whether the government can show probable cause, the line into criminal conduct. These are serious federal rights, civil rights charges, but they hinge on conduct, not speech.
Meantime, the Justice Department is participating in a civil rights investigation into the death of Alex Preddy. Voting is underway in the Senate just hours before a partial government shutdown deadline. CBS's Nicole Killian on Capitol Hill.
Lawmakers are voting on 5 appropriations bills to fund agencies like the Defense Department, Labor, HHS, the State Department, Treasury, but they're going to split off the Department of Homeland Security funding, only funded through what's known as a continuing resolution for the next 2 weeks.
Millions of Justice Department Epstein files are released. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche says they include more than 2,000 videos and
they include large quantities of commercial pornography and images that were seized from Epstein's devices, but which he did not take or that someone around him did not take.
Emmy-winning comedic actor Catherine O'Hara has died at her Los Angeles home after a brief illness, according to her talent agency. The Canadian-born actor appeared in Home Alone, Beetlejuice, and in 2000's Best in Show.
He didn't want to dance. I was like dancing by myself.
I did not want to dance because...
Catherine O'Hara was 71 years old. President Trump announces his nominee for chairman of the Federal Reserve. We have CBS's Linda Kenyon.
Kevin Warsh is the president's choice to succeed Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, whose term expires in May. President Trump has been very critical of Powell over his interest rate policy. When asked if Warsh committed to cut interest rates as President Trump has demanded of Powell...
No, but we talk about it, and I've been following him, and I don't want to ask him that question. I think it's inappropriate, probably. It probably would be allowed, but I want to keep it nice and pure.
Warsh's Senate confirmation could be rocky. Republican Tom Tillis says he will oppose any nominee until the administration resolves its prosecution of Powell. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
This is CBS News.
Take control of your financial life. Follow and listen to Money Watch with Jill Schlesinger on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-932-5858. That's 800-932-5858. 800-932-5858.
Afternoon, right a little bit slow over here at times. This is the heaviest we've seen it all week long out here. 24 trying to get past Ellington Parkway here up by Shelby as it cranks up trying to get south of town. We've watched that build pretty good down into Brentwood, Franklin on 65 south, pushing down through Williamson County. STR Towing and Recovery says please move over when you see flashing lights for 24/7 car and truck towing. STR Towing and Recovery right here in Middle Tennessee. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Premier 6 Theater on Broad in Jackson Heights.
Let's all go to the movies.
Check out what's showing at murfreesboromovies.com. Popcorn popped fresh daily.
Movies at the good old Premier 6.
Premier 6 on Broad in Jackson Heights.
Rutherford weather.
The cold weather advisory goes into effect tonight.
On in 30.
Okay. Scattered snow showers expected for tonight with cloudy skies. Temperatures dip back to around 13 and it will be breezy. I'm meteorologist Regina Cole from the WGNS Rutherford Weather Center. Right now, it's 30 degrees.
We do it your way at Sir Pizza.
You can order Murfreesboro's favorite pizza online. SirPizzaTN.com. Carry out and delivery for dinner tonight at SirPizzaTN.com.
We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at WGNSradio.com.
This is the Blue Raider Podcast on WGNS, presented by Gold's Gym of Tennessee. It's your all-access pass to everything Middle Tennessee sports. Game recaps, player spotlights, and the latest from the heart of Blue Raider Nation. Now, here's your host, Jake Bolden.
Welcome back to the Blue Raider Podcast presented by Gold's Gym of Tennessee. We have a special guest joining us today, Jake Rose, play-by-play for the Blue Raiders on ESPN+. We're going to be talking about that game last night at Murphy Center where the Raiders fell to Liberty, the first place Liberty Flames, and of course, preview of this weekend's 100 Miles of Hate taking place at Murphy Center. Hope to see all the Blue Raider fans there. Before we get into today's episode, I need to thank our presenting sponsor, Gold's Gym of Tennessee. Look, the end of January is almost here, but it's not too late to capitalize on their New Year resolution deals. They have that are only available online. They're month-to-month deals. The gold membership is just $25 bi-weekly with a $40 enrollment, or you can upgrade to the family plan for you and a significant other at $45 bi-weekly with only a $20 enrollment fee. That membership gives you access to all 16 Gold's Gyms across Tennessee, along with group exercise classes and childcare, all included with no extra hidden cost. So visit Gold's Gym of Tennessee online at goldsgym.com to learn more and find a location near you. We are on WGNS, as we are every Friday at 5 o'clock on FM 101.9 in Murfreesboro, 100.5 in Smyrna, and AM 1450. And we are live streaming on our Twitter, X, and Facebook at Blue Raider Pod. If you're not already following us, make sure you do so you don't miss one of our weekly uploads on Friday. And, of course, we have our post-game press conferences that are also live streamed, including both basketball games on Saturday. And our phone lines are open, so we are going to take your calls at 615-893-1450. Make sure you get those calls in today, as it is a shortened episode. But joining me today, it is Jake Rose. Like as I said at the beginning, ESPN play-by-play for the Blue Raiders. Jake, thanks for joining us once again.
Jake, thanks for having me, man. Just trying to warm up over here on the west side of Nashville.
Poor guy got the worst of it. My understanding is you finally got power back at the end of this week.
Yeah, our power went out Sunday morning about 5 o'clock. I've got a really large tree that's in my backyard, and it sits below like a wooden, kind of like a porch swing. And that thing exploded at like 6 o'clock in the morning. I didn't hear it. My girlfriend didn't hear it. But it fell and collapsed on our swing. The swing exploded. Then we were without power until Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening. So we toughed it out for a day or two, a day and a half. And Monday morning or Monday afternoon, when you're starting to be able to see your breath, we're like, we got to get a hotel, man. We got to get out of here.
Right.
So I got a hotel one night and then went to my sister-in-law's for a night. And then we were lucky enough to get our power back on Wednesday.
If Indiana wins a national championship, but the trade-off is that you're going to lose power for almost a full week, do you take that trade every time?
Dude, I'd give up power for a year. I still can't believe that happened. Like, you could convince me, or you could tell me that happened and show me all the evidence. I watched the game. I watched every single game this year. I watched every single game last year. I've watched pretty much every game most of my adult life, at least bits and pieces of most games, because let's face it, most of those games weren't that fun for the last 37 years. But I can't wrap my head around it. Like, all my friends back home, even my family and friend and my dad and my grandfather, who are the reason I'm an Indiana fan, the whole sentiment is just, did that really happen? How did that, like, did we really watch them win not only a Big Ten championship, a Rose Bowl, whatever other bowl they won against Oregon. I kind of forget what that one was, but then a national title and a Heisman Trophy, like that's made up. That didn't happen.
Right. No, and I'm sure Indiana fans seem to be coming out of the woodworks. I mean, obviously, up north, I say up north, I guess Indiana's Midwest, I guess however you want to look at it, but much like Kentucky fans here, when they got good at football, they kind of came out of the woodworks because you're always assumed a Kentucky basketball fan and exclusively that. And Indiana obviously falls in that same arc. But I know you're an Indiana homer wearing the Pacers hoodie tonight. Anything Indiana, you are a fan. And I saw you waiting in the wings of a living room watching the final seconds tick off of that Indiana national championship. So obviously super happy for you and Indiana fans, but we're here in Murfreesboro and we are not as pleasant at this moment with the results of last night's game at Murphy Center. The Blue Raiders, we're going to talk about the men as they're the only midweek game. The ladies taking the week off in preparation for their matchup with Western Kentucky at noon tomorrow. But last night the Blue Raiders fell 81-65 at home, and that score doesn't even really paint the picture. It felt like it was so much worse than that, Jake. Tough one really to swallow. A lot of implications. First place, they're way ahead of everybody in this league. You thought if you had any chance at potentially getting that crown, you have to win the one matchup you have with Liberty this season, and it got out of hand early. You had a chance late, but it was just too little too late.
Yeah, and I think the thing about Conference USA this year that is a little frustrating, even though Liberty is the class of the conference this year, obviously they're undefeated and all that, but the margin for error against everybody else in conference is so thin because the talent from each team is so similar to one another. They play similar styles of defense. They have similar offensive styles, that the margin for error is just so thin. So anytime that you have an opportunity to win a game, especially on your own home floor, look, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong losing to a team that's better than you. That's going to happen. That's just part of sports. But I think the thing that was really frustrating from me last night was, what they're going to do offensively.
Right.
Now, obviously, it's much easier said than done to try and stop it, but Caden Matheny's got a green light anytime he's got the ball. And that's the thing, like him and what was it, Colin Porter? They're my size, man. Mm-hmm. Those guys aren't even 6 feet tall. And they're shooting over 6'10", 6'11", 6'7" on the perimeter. And you tip your hat to them because obviously that's just great shooting and great offense, and they're really well coached. But it's frustrating because what they're going to do, and you can't beat them at it.
They're the most unassuming basketball team in the world. If you saw those guys in your local rec league, you would think, okay, they probably going to pass the ball. They're probably going to shoot the ball pretty well, but they're pretty to think that they're top 100, probably top 90 now in KenPom in the country, and they have the highest continuity in the country. I mean, they look the part on a nightly basis, but they are the most unassuming bunch. There's a few things to take away for me watching that game last night, and I could do this all night. You said it there. Liberty is just unique. The conference as a whole has a lot of similarities, but they're unique. I said it there, the continuity that no one else in this conference can replicate it. I would assume Liberty's NIL makes that pretty easy for them to create that continuity. But we saw it last night with Coach McDevitt in his post-game press conference where he leaned on, it just didn't seem like anything they could do could solve the issue, because Matheny, that's the scouting report, is he can shoot, which I'm also surprised. He's never had a 30-point game in his college career. I couldn't believe that. He scored 29 last night, which tied a career high. But a guy that can just light it up from deep hasn't had a 30-point game. But what was interesting to me, it was they're tied for their second lowest assist numbers all season long. So really, in the grand scheme of how do you control Liberty, well, they moved the ball well. Well, you held them to the second lowest assist rate they had all year, and they still put up 81 points, and their leading scorer put up 29. So you would think your defensive execution was good on the front of, okay, we're going to limit the ball movement, make them be spot shooters. But unfortunately, when you give Matheny even a second to think, he's going to shoot it. And of course, when he goes 6 of 7 in the first half from 3, I think he hits 8 for the game. I mean, it's tough to overcome. And then past that, this is more, I guess, more specific, but the Luka Loof situation. Loof, outside of his one game in El Paso where he scored 16 points, has been trending in the wrong direction. And Luka, God love him. I mean, we all talk about how good a freshman can be. He certainly looks the part. I mean, night in and night out, he does all the little things well. He doesn't have to score 10 points and get 6 rebounds. He can make no impact on the stat sheet, but have a bigger impact, at least in these last couple games, versus what Chris Loof has provided. Jake, do you share that same sentiment? Am I the only one that sees this?
I think the thing that is disappointing the most about Chris Loof is I think that we all see the potential of what he could do. He moves really, really well for a guy that's 6'11". He has a nice little touch from the outside. He's got really good footwork. But 4 and 4 ain't going to cut it. They've got to find a way, and it's going to have to be an off-season thing. And I think the coaching staff would be honest with you that if he's one of the 5 on the floor, he's probably your 5th option offensively. And you would hope that a kid with that much potential and that size and that mobility would be at least your 2nd or 3rd option. He does do a good job setting screens and rolling hard to the hole, but when he's coming off those screens, he's got to post up, he's got to demand the ball, and he's got to score. And the way that this offense is running right now is he doesn't get post touches because he's not getting himself open. You would think that there would be a way for him to be a more consistent offensive weapon, and I think that is probably the biggest issue with this Middle Tennessee offense right now, aside from just not being able to shoot the ball very well from outside. But in terms of what Luka brings, obviously he's still raw, still a freshman, but just the energy that he brings off the bench. I think there was a game a couple weeks ago where he had 8 or 10 rebounds in a matter of like 6 minutes. And just the juice that he brings off the bench is really, really invaluable. So I think that's something that you can hang your hat on. But he too is also not a threat to score unless it's a putback. But I would really, really love to see Chris take a big step this offseason and add to his offensive bag because they need it. They absolutely need it.
You said it about being a post player that demands the basketball, and I know all year we previewed this, and we've obviously seen it through the first 2.5 months or 3 months now of this season. Chris Loof is not Esam Mustafa. He's not Jared Coleman-Jones. He's not DeAndre Dishman that we've seen in the Nick McDevitt era. He's not the guy that, in your words, demands the basketball. Nor does the opposing defenses require that respect to have to guard him anywhere outside of 10 feet from the rim. And obviously, he has his turnover problems when he's putting the ball on the floor, and he's not a guy that is going to put you on the block like Esam Mustafa is, let him catch, turn, and lay it in. But Luka does provide that type of size, and I mean that more on the weight perspective and less the height perspective. But he's a guy that could be that, and given if he's worked more into that rotation, as we saw last night, he got more minutes. The plus minus, he was a positive 3, one of the few positive plus minus players last night in 23 minutes of play, and then Loof was a negative 18. I know.
And he didn't score.
Yeah, and on top of not providing any sort of offensive production, so it's. Plus minus is not end all be all, and that's obviously not the one defining factor if you're good or not. There's a lot of nuance that goes in with that, and who's on the floor when Loof is in the game, and who's on the floor when Luke is in the game. But it's telling, and I think at this rate, I would not be stunned to see Luka. I might even go as far to say that Luka enters a starting lineup at some point. That's pure speculation on my part, but he's getting more minutes. And he provides the juice, as you say, and if you're not going to score, at least rebound. And Luka does that regardless if he's playing 10 or 20 minutes every night. And my other takeaway, too, is the effective field goal percentage. You said it, the shooting isn't there, hasn't been there the last couple games. Getting into games in the 80s right now, it just feels like a dangerous game to be playing, especially with someone like Western Kentucky on the horizon. And we'll kind of dive more into that one after our break here in a bit. But the solving for the shooting, it's just I don't feel like they're necessarily taking bad shots right now. It's just you hit those lulls and you kind of have to lean heavily on your defense. And right now, the Blue Raiders just haven't been able to find that chemistry. And unfortunately, you play two teams that shoot the ball particularly well in Jack State and Liberty, you're going to test that this weekend with Western Kentucky coming in, because they don't shoot the ball particularly well, but you kind of have to get back to your morals. You're going to lean on the defense. Hopefully that solves your offensive issues.
And you kind of hit on it a second ago. The thing about being it's cool to be a good 3-point shooting team, but when so much of your offense relies on 3-point shooting, and not just relying on 3-point shooting, but relying on shooters like Trey Green and Alec Oglesby, who are not going to really go out and get their own shot, but who are, and Kamari Lance too, but are guys who are set 3-point shooters. Those shots come from other guards or from inside post touches, and that kind of goes back to my Chris Loof point. If he's not demanding the ball in the post, those shooting lanes just aren't going to be open for those guys. But they still had a lot of opportunities last night to make some shots. The first 10 minutes of the first half, they had looks. He's got to make them.
Right. Well, we're going to be looking forward to what they can do tomorrow night. After this commercial break, we're going to be previewing the men's 100 Miles of Hate, and then, of course, the Lady Raiders. Rick Insell fresh off of his 500th win. But all of that after this break. You're listening to the Blue Raider Podcast, presented by Gold's Gym of Tennessee.
Jennings & Ayers Funeral Home has served Murfreesboro families with compassion and care since 1880. As a family-owned funeral home, we're committed to honoring every life with dignity through traditional services, cremation options, and pre-planning that gives you peace of mind. For over 140 years, we've been here when it matters most. Visit JenningsandAyers.com. Jennings & Ayers Funeral Home, honoring life and comforting families since 1880.
Every team knows which play can be a winning move. I'm State Farm Agent Andy Womack, here to help life go right by combining your home and auto insurance. Call me today at 615-890-0850. It's a winning move that saves you time and money. Your ride, your stuff. You live with them together. I'm State Farm Agent Andy Womack. It's smart to protect them together, to help life go right. Give me a call at 615-890-0850 and let me help you save by combining your auto and renters.
Whether you need general vehicle upkeep and maintenance or a complete vehicle overhaul, Hall's Auto Care is here for you. We're locally owned and operated by Greg Hall and have been in business since 2014. You'll get excellent service and trustworthy advice with Hall's Auto Care. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. We're ready to help get you safely on the road. Hall's Auto Care, 907 Ridgely Road, just off Broad Street behind Chili's. Online at hallsautocare.net. Hall's Auto Care.
Lace up your best kicks for a night of impact benefiting First Shot. Join us for the annual Sneaker Ball, presented by Venture Express. Spend Sunday, April 26th with NFL Hall of Famer and Super Bowl MVP Marcus Allen. The event kicks off at 6 with a VIP meet and greet at 5. Reserve your table today. Call Coach Andy Herzer at 615-631-5312. We'll see you at the Sneaker Ball, benefiting First Shot on April 26th.
Ah, the most beautiful time of year is upon us. Tax season. And Tax Slayer is here to help you file. We guarantee 100% accuracy and your maximum refund. Those are some good numbers. And you can trust me, because I'm a talking calculator. Did I mention Tax Slayer even has support from real US-based humans? If you have any questions along the way, beat the rush and start for free today. Tax Slayer. File fearlessly.
Here's Dr. Craig McCabe at McCabe Vision Center.
We have treatments for the skin of your face. So not only do we want you to see young, we want you to look younger too and get rid of a lot of that sun damage.
Dr. Craig McCabe, the eye doctor you hear on the radio.
Maybe you've got dark spots, acne, rosacea, even wrinkles. We can now treat.
McCabe Vision Center on Heritage Park Drive, just off Memorial, behind SunTrust Bank.
Well, good afternoon. A couple of accidents in their cleanup stages, a little bit heavier in the last few minutes. 40 eastbound over here at Donaldson Pike as it picks up on 40 continuing through the Mount Juliet area. Still some back roads out here are still downright dangerous, so be careful. We're not completely out of the woods.
On in 10.
I'm going to freeze again. STR Towing and Recovery says give them a call if you need their help. 24/7 here in Middle Tennessee. STR Towing and Recovery. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Commander Chuck.
This is the Blue Raider Podcast, presented by Gold's Gym of Tennessee on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, 100.5 Smyrna, WGNSradio.com, and the Blue Raider Podcast YouTube channel. Now, back to your host, Jake Bolden.
Welcome back into the Blue Raider Podcast, presented by Gold's Gym of Tennessee. The Blue Raiders host Western Kentucky in a doubleheader tomorrow afternoon at the Murphy Center. We are live streaming on our X and Facebook at Blue Raider Pod, and of course on YouTube. If you want to call into the show, that line is open at 615-893-1450. We are joined by ESPN Plus play-by-play for the Blue Raiders, Jake Rose. Jake, 2 years ago, you were the first ever guest on the Blue Raider Podcast, and now you're the first ever guest on the Blue Raider Podcast on radio. I mean, this is quite the honor. I know we talked about Indiana winning their national championship, but, I mean, you've got to be overcome with emotion.
This is the best thing to happen to me in the last 2 weeks. No, but thank you for having me, man. I almost forgot about the show that we did a couple years ago. I forgot that was your very first one. So thanks, man. That makes me feel good.
Yeah, I
Jake's
was.
Down for Jake's.
That's right. The Jake Square duo as a first time guest on a different platform. I was looking back because I knew we did it forever ago, and I was just getting the show and its feet underneath itself. And you were obviously a big part of that takeoff. So appreciate it. One, having you back on today, where we're looking ahead to tomorrow's doubleheader in the Murphy Center. You are calling the Lady Raiders game at noon on ESPN Plus. This one, I hate to speculate rivalry games and to think that things, teams look past it. Obviously, getting win number 500 last week, thank God that's out of the way, because the last thing you want is win number 500 in a rivalry game at home. Certainly was worried after losing that Thursday night game against Delaware, but thank goodness they got it done ahead of the storm against Liberty on Friday night. But first, I want to take just a second. I mean, 500 wins. I know we've talked about it all season long. This is a milestone that Coach Insel want to talk about. I mean, there's none better. A great human being off the floor, and we learn a lot about that through a lot of the stuff they've been putting out on social media from all these athletes that have reached back out to him. But Jake, you've been around this program just as long as I have. First off, what a guy, and I can't say more than congratulations to Insel on 500.
Yeah, congratulations to Coach Rick Insel. And I think the thing that comes to my mind first is just the consistency over the course of 21 seasons. He has been to 20 postseasons, including 12 NCAA tournaments. And that's 12 NCAA tournaments in typically one bid leagues, Sun Belt, Conference USA. So just the consistency that he has put out, and his ability to recruit, and the ability to recruit in-state talent and then develop that talent. I think of players – so I've been doing this for 12 years. So I think of players like Alex Johnson, who I think was in her it was probably my second year, maybe third year when she was a freshman, and then just watching her develop into conference player of the year and an all-conference player, and Courtney Whitson, and most recently Jalen Gregory. It's been really, really fun to watch and kind of see how those players – develop, and then how they basically kind of mimic the players that came before them in their development and how they take over the program. And hey, make no mistake, it is a Rick Insel program, but by the time those seniors graduate, they are passing the baton on to the younger kids, and that means something at middle for their women's basketball program. And so that consistency is what I think of most.
And the duality of a coach, not only the recruiting, but you said the development. I mean, he has a knack for it. He finds the girls he wants. And the development that you see over a 4-year career is growth. And you can see coaches that are normally good at one and not the other. They can find the talent, but they can't develop it, or they maybe struggle on the recruiting trail, but they can make a mountain out of molehills. And so it's impressive. And that's why this team in particular is so exciting, because you got 4 freshmen in a world that you can create continuity. We talked about how valuable that is is for Liberty on the men's side. How valuable could that be for the Lady Raiders? Because you got a shoe-in at Blair Bogus at Freshman of the Year. She's got another Conference USA Player of the Week honor this last week. Macy Pfeiffer would more than likely be on that watch list if she was on any other team that wasn't included with Blair Bogus. Even Yuhan Lin, she's had her own Player of the Week honors as well, who's had some spot minutes. A weird rotation of minutes for her. But we're looking at this matchup against Western Kentucky. The 500 wins are beyond you. You're going to play a WKU team that is probably the worst I've seen in a very long time, which is very unlike for that program. They're, I say, bottom of Conference USA as far as record, but via tiebreaker, they're in 11th because their only win is over UTEP, the other 1-7 team in the conference. But they are right now on the cusp of not making the tournament, which, again, very unlike Western Kentucky to be that far down in a hole. But I don't see, even in a world where this is a rivalry game, this team is not better than you. You do everything particularly well. The only thing that you even marginally have to do better, not turn the ball over. I mean, don't create extra possessions.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, for this team especially. But Liberty, I think their fewest turnovers this year. I mean, that seems to be trend. But then Delaware Thursday night was they were back up there near 20. So. But I've said this all year that MTSU ladies are probably the second most talented team in this conference. But when they're playing their best basketball, I do think they are the best team in this conference.
I think we all knew that this was going to be a roller coaster ride with this freshman team. We all knew that they had talent, especially Blair and Macy and the four that are playing most of the minutes. But I think about the last couple of weeks that Blair Bogus has been on. She wins Conference USA Freshman of the Week last week. But then the 2 weeks before that, she just was not herself. She was averaging about 6 points per game, was really just kind of out of it. But that's just going to be the roller coaster that you're going to be on when you've got 8 true freshmen on your roster, 4 of whom play major minutes. And your only senior on the roster is a transfer who is not used to the program. So it's been interesting. It's been fun. Mm-hmm. It's been fun. I've been rewatching the Tennessee game from back in, I guess that was November now, late November. And obviously, it's a different level of competition with a top 25 SEC squad in terms of athleticism. But the team that Middle rolled out against Tennessee in November, this is not that team anymore. They have learned to play in different ways. They have, in terms of learned how to win in different ways. The style of play has not changed at all. They are very methodical. They are very slow. They don't want to get out and run at all. The offense has not changed at all. They're still running the exact same playbook that Rick has had for 21 years. But now they're finding their roles a little bit more, and I think that has made it a lot more fun the last few weeks.
Well, it's so funny you mentioned that, the consistency, and then now, he runs that same high ball action every time, gets it over to Elena, is the shooting guard this year that's going to handle a lot of that basketball. It's funny, and talk about the swinging gate play where they find Savannah Davis open. If there's 10 seconds left on the play clock, you know where that ball's going. It's so funny that he still pulls it off, and that play still works every single week. But back into this game here, the 100 Miles of Hate. Last little scouting report on the girls from Bowling Green. They've got some size down low. Sophia Telegdi, the lone returning starter from that last year team. Very good WKU team last year, but 9.5 points, 5 rebounds per game. Salma Kadur has really shown up for Greg Collins as Conference USA play has started with 11 points per game, but I can't give any Lady Topper any real credit because the two good defenses she's played in conference play is Sam Houston and Jack State, and she scored 2 and 5 points, and 5 of those 7 points came at the free throw line. So I think they both struggle against good defenses, given they have 88 turnovers this year, over 4.5 per game. And then Trinity Rowe is their deep threat this year, but she sat out their last game against Delaware with an illness, so I don't know what her status looks like for tomorrow night's game. But really, it comes down to shutting them down on the post. They don't shoot it well. Like I said at the beginning, they just don't do anything really well. And so I think if you dominate the rebounding margin like most teams have against them this year, limiting them to one possession at a time, I think you just kind of run away with this one.
You would think so. And to your point, this is a Western Kentucky team that just hasn't really gelled so far this year. I know they've got 6 newcomers, only one returning starter, but they do return 6 or 7 letter winners from a year ago. So it's a little surprising that they're bottom of the conference. I mean, that's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just the fact they're at the bottom of the conference.
Mm-hmm.
They don't score the ball very well. Sorry, I've got a emergency alert here.
Hopefully it's not more ice and snow, but
sorry about that.
You're fine.
I keep getting like weather updates and now music is playing and geez, I'm sorry.
You're fine. But to your point, they don't do particularly anything well in the offensive end. And to another note I have is they don't even get to the free throw line. They don't even find ways to really generate offense for themselves. They certainly struggle to just. I mean, it seems like you talk about gel. They like do the little things right. Teams with continuity seem to iron those things out pretty early, and this group just hasn't done that.
Yeah, and the thing is, they don't attack the rim very much. That's the one thing that I look at when I just look at box scores. They don't get to the free throw line very often. I think they shoot 13 free throw attempts per game. That is 334th in the entire country. So that just tells me that they don't have somebody that they can trust with the ball from the perimeter to go get fouled. And their post players, when they get the ball in the post, aren't getting fouled either. So it's a very interesting team, especially a team that's traditionally coached by Greg Collins that relies so heavily on three-point shooting.
Mm-hmm.
To be this bad offensively, they don't even average 60 points per game. I think they're about like 57 points per game. So, very interesting that this Western Kentucky team just hasn't figured it out.
Well, that's not the only game taking place at Murphy Center tomorrow. The men tip off at 3 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. I want to give a shout out to the marketing department. $50 doubleheader deal. It gets you 4 tickets to both of those basketball games, including 4 hot dogs and 4 soft drinks. You really can't beat. I think it's a $90 retail value. You're going to get it for 2 good basketball games on Saturday. Looking ahead to this men's matchup as we close out the show today. The storyline I'm keeping my eyes on, I've been checking my Twitter on an hourly basis. What is the status of Tegan Moore and Armello Boone? Well, my understanding per Plona's words in their Monday morning presser is that Moore with concussion protocol is out. Thank you, Zach Cleveland. So he is out with concussion protocol. And then Armello Boone, the runaway Conference USA Freshman of the Year, is likely out, but he's still looming with his injury. So the top 2 scores for the Toppers, I think collectively over 30 points per game. Boone, one of the best rebounders, which is one of the few things that this team does particularly well. I mean, again, you can't throw those things out. This is still a Hank Plona coach team. They're still well coached. Anything could certainly happen, but the storyline of their 2 best scorers being out is certainly, it makes you like, you've got to get it. You've got to win this one, right?
Yeah, especially since you've lost, 3 or 4. This is absolutely a game that Middle Tennessee needs to take control of early and really just kind of put Western away and win it going away. Now, I'm not saying they got to win by 30 points or 35 points, but this is a game that I think just for kind of confidence, you want to see a complete game. And the defense is there, 9 out of 10 nights for Middle Tennessee, but it's the offense, especially as of late. And in conference play, buckets are going to be a little bit tougher. They're going to let you play a little bit physicality-wise, and you know what every offense is going to run. You know what every coach's sets are going to be, so it's a little bit tougher to score points. But this is a very, very prime opportunity for this Middle Tennessee offense to kind of get it figured out a little bit.
Well, and you're almost to the midway mark of conference play. It's your first consecutive games lost. You have one more at home against FIU next week before you're back on the road. You got to get back you got to protect your home court. That's the first thing. That's something MTSU doesn't do, and that's lose conference games at home. You lost against Liberty, which I know that this is one of the best home court advantages in all of Conference USA. But more importantly, just to get yourself back in that conversation, because I think we all know who the 1 seed's going to be, but there's still a coveted 2 spot, and you're not out of that conversation by any stretch of the imagination. So protecting home court is going to be the first step in doing that. Again, the Blue Raiders tip off against the Toppers at 3 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. Jake Rose joining us play-by-play for the Blue Raiders on ESPN+. You can hear him tomorrow at noon for the ladies' game. Jake, once again, man, it's been a very long time, but I appreciate you once again for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Happy to be the first ever and the first ever on your WGNS show. So shout out, man.
Awesome. Well, thanks to you, the viewer, today. We're going to be kicking it over to Brian Baird and John Dinkins, who are covering tonight's Rockville at Siegel game. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Blue Raider Podcast presented by Gold's Gym of Tennessee. A reminder to follow us on our social media at Blue Raider Pod at X, Instagram, and Facebook. Thanks to my producer, Jackson Smith. You're listening to the Blue Raider Podcast presented by Gold's Gym of Tennessee.